Hey everybody, Weekly Word 85 jumping in. It's leadership. When you take a moment to think about leadership, what are the keys to being a successful leader? What are the things, the traits, the characteristics that define those people who have led you through life, or you through an objective, or you through a mission? And I tell you, when I break it down into its most simplistic parts, there's 4 key words that come to mind. And that is that as a leader, when you're executing leadership, you have to delegate, but you also have to trust. At the same time, you have to supervise execution, but take ownership. Take ownership for everything that happens or fails to happen. And fail is a big word, but ultimately take ownership for mission accomplishment. Take ownership for those situations in which the mission doesn't get accomplished. And then doing that assessment to go and figure out why the mission isn't being accomplished. Is it you as a leader and your inability to properly communicate your intentions? Are those that you have delegated not carrying out the task or the duty in a way that is timely, that is efficient? I mean, we have to trust when we delegate and we task and we assign that people are indeed going to take those requirements or those duties and carry them out. At the same time, though, you can't trust to a point where you're blind. You have to go and supervise that these things are happening. And as you're supervising and you come across those situations where it's not timely, it's not accurate, you have to take time to figure out why is it not timely, why is it not accurate, and address it and take ownership of it. It would be really easy just to simply blame the executor, but when it comes down to it, a leader has to take ownership. Just like at the end of the day, the pitcher on a baseball team gets the win or the loss. He has to take ownership for everything that occurred. The quarterback on a football team, he doesn't necessarily get a win or a loss, but that coach does. That head coach gets a win or a loss. He is responsible for everything that's happening or fails to happen during the execution of that game. Just as in life. Ultimately, I think we are responsible for everything we do or fail to do as individuals, as leaders in our community. And if you're a leader, meaning you're assigned to do that, or you have been appointed to do that, there's a responsibility with that leadership. A responsibility to delegate and to trust, but also a responsibility that is on you as a leader to take ownership in the execution. And I tell you, it's not easy. We all know this. We've all been in those positions where we find ourselves not achieving successes. And a lot of times in a leadership position, you deal with those 10% issues, those 10% of the population, those issues that demand decision. And you got to take all your experience and you got to make those tough calls. Some of the most difficult decisions that I've had to make as a leader are the hiring and the firing of people, are the demotion and the promotion of people. Because a lot of times we think that promotions are just, oh, that's easy, let's promote them, that's a happy thing. Well, it is, but at the same time, when you promote somebody, you're putting them into an increased position of duty, an increased position of trust, an increased position of responsibility. And if they don't succeed in accomplishing those tasks or those duties in a way that is efficient, proper, accurate, timely, then you maybe made a bad decision in putting that person in charge of those responsibilities or in charge of those actions. So ultimately, the burden is real, but it's so beautiful at the same time. The opportunity to lead, the opportunity to go on a journey with someone and set a course. And as you, to your right and your left, are accomplishing that objective, you're doing it together. And eventually it can create this situation where, while yes, there's always got to be really one leadership, unity of command we call that, the team that is on the same sheet that creates that momentum towards accomplishing that objective, it's beautiful. The problem, though, or the thing you got to recognize, is the second that momentum gets changed, the whole execution slows down. Why did the momentum change? Well, because there's a mistake occurring somewhere. There's lack of communication, lack of execution. Why is it slowing down? Well, because everything needs to stop. You have to assess it. You got to fix it. But if everything's flowing, beautiful. Weekly Word is going way too long, almost 5 minutes on this one. I'm just going to stop the video now. I appreciate your time, but I could keep going. Okay, bye.